You fly bike.
It takes it.
Your fly bike is different from to ride a bike. If you are riding a bike, maybe you have a motorbike and then you are when you fly bike, somebody that is riding it for you. You stay at the back. That's the difference. Hello everyone, welcome to Awesome Conversations with Julie and Toby. We are so glad to have you back on this episode. How are you guys doing? We hope you're
doing great.
Oh yeah. So today we want to talk about self-esteem, guys. We want to talk about self-esteem. Where do we start from, Toby?
I don't even know. Maybe we start from what comes to mind when you hear self-esteem, because like for me, like what comes to mind with self-esteem, I'll just say I see it like a kind of like a thermometer that shows the degree of how what you think about yourself, your perception of yourself. So I feel like it's tied with self-perception. And of course, I believe, as you said, it's more of how you value yourself, what you think you are. In fact, sometimes you might even be worth more than what you think.
Yeah.
But it's all about how you necessarily see yourself. Like I've seen people that they're actually more in value. People view them as more than they even think they are. And when you see them, they belittle themselves in a way, and they really think they are nothing as such. So most times, I think always self-esteem is how you yourself
perceive yourself,
or how you perceive yourself. So, but can we say that self-esteem ties with confidence in a way?
It's a very good question. From my point of view, I think it does. I'll say with inner confidence. Why I say inner confidence is the kind of confidence that is really from within, not the one that is as a result of something going on in your life at that time. The one that is within, that is independent of your situation or circumstance. So that's the kind of confidence, and that's what will remain after you remove the layers of good things happening around you. After you remove all those pleasant situations, what is left is the real confidence that you have about yourself, and is that confidence that.
And based on that, I really believe it's even a lot about that, because I've seen people that they are not necessarily of high value, but they see themselves as someone so high. And that is where it comes with how you really perceive yourself.
Honestly, sorry to cut you short, but like just to lay credence to what you just said, as we were talking about self-esteem, it was one guy I remember back in university. That guy, like by world standard, he wasn't like so handsome like that. Like I'm just that, but there's this confidence that guy has. I'm telling you that almost like girls were always flocking after him. It was so confident. In fact, I didn't even notice he wasn't handsome. Like my thought was that this guy is like, what's the word to use now? I don't even know the word to use. Like he's so charismatic or something like that. Like, so he looks so handsome to me. It was later when, I took away the layers of charisma that I had, and I found out this guy is not really so like that. But the confidence he has, the way he packages himself, the way he talks, like you can't like you can't make him feel inferior. And he always gets the prettiest girls in class. Like it got me thinking. I still remembered him like last year or so, and I think I was talking to my husband, this same guy. I said, this guy. Now looking back, I'm like, like the funniest part, it wasn't wealthy, or it wasn't one of those guys that had maybe cars also. No. There are guys that had cars and they were big guys, but they didn't have the confidence, right? But this one, when he's flying bike and when he's taking, your fly bike.
It takes it.
Your fly bike is different from to ride a bike. If you are riding a bike, maybe you have a motorbike and then you are when you fly bike, somebody that is riding it for you. You stay at the back.
It does it with pride. So.
But with he has so much confidence. The little he has, he wears his clothes well, he grooms himself well, he speaks with confidence, with a rich, baritone confidence. Like he's just so confident. So you can't make him unconfident, or maybe bring down his self-esteem because he's up there. He values himself so high. So
that guy, I see you might not even know in fact, maybe you even know if you by chance watch this podcast. But honestly, you're a good example of how your self-perception can help people to see you the way you want them to see you, or maybe the way you value yourself.
And I've seen situations whereby I believe there was someone like that I feel their words, two different people, I feel their words were almost the same thing. And then when I was talking to the other person, I could see the way she was talking, like she feels the other person is worth more than her.
Yeah.
But I felt when she says something like that, I felt like, oh, you couldn't really see what I was even saying at that point. And that is what, and the only difference is the way they both carry themselves. So most times you see it from the confidence the person exudes. But one thing I'm now thinking is, can this situation actually be from maybe childhood? Because I've seen situations whereby, especially maybe our culture, when a child is very outspoken and everything, you think he or she is the talkative of the house or something like that, and you let us see those things as bad things instead of instead of our channeling it in the right direction. So I've seen situations like that.
So you killed
so you kill confidence like that. So in a way, instead of this person seeing it as a good trait of I can talk, I can articulate words and deliver a good speech, then it starts seeing it as a defect. That I cannot, like I should keep quiet sometimes and everything. Do you think that some of these things are maybe from childbirth or from childhood?
I will agree with you. I think our experiences during our childhood, like our childhood experiences, go a long way in forming by default being that you can change the default setting when you become mature. And I think it's also important that we learn to now place the responsibilities on ourselves when it comes to a point in life, because I've heard and this is not to that, it's so important, childhood experiences and parents being very critical. All of us have gone through that, especially African parents can be very critical. And many times it's because they don't know any better, because that was how they were raised. So it just sort of, they pass it down and they feel they are loving you into being the person they want you to be. Like the example that you gave about being critical of a child that talks a lot and then they shut you up, or you are laughing and they say you're laughing too much, you're always noisy, you know. If you're an extrovert, you would have definitely been through that. And if you're an introvert as well, some parents will be like, can't you talk? Why are you such a... Some parents will say you're a dummy, you know. There are many things that African parents do that people that are not African cringe, that what? How could you say this to a child, you know? So it's a call to us as parents not to pass that pattern down to our children and to raise them with compassion and understanding.
But
not like...
I just feel, how do we cope situations like that? Because now there are situations whereby you don't necessarily want to curb that, like, okay, stop them from speaking, but you could see some other traits to that.
Excesses.
Excesses. So how do you cut down those excesses?
There has to be a balance for sure. It's taking parenting is it's wisdom. I'm not like, I've been parenting for the past 5 years, so I'm still learning. Right. So I feel like I'm not in the place to start talking extensively about parenting, but from what I have learned, I know it takes God's wisdom to handle each child differently and being balanced, because you do have to also curb their excesses. A child can be very excessive, and childhood period is formative years, the time when you can actually curb and instill it. So it just takes balance and God's wisdom to be balanced. But like one thing I want to say is that, like, I remember I was listening to a lady, she talked about how her parental influence brought her to where she was. She was having issues in relationship. You might have stumbled on a maybe vlog something, but I'm not mentioning names here. But the point is, I noticed she kept on, she's mature, she should be like maybe 30 something as at that time, as when she was making the vlog. And she kept on talking about the parental influence, how that has made her who she was, how bad her parents were, but never at any point did I see her talk about what she has done, what she has decided to do, so she kept on linking all the bad decisions. She was talking about her failed relationship, and it's great for her to be vulnerable in front of so many people. So we won't want to criticize, because some of us might have even done worse, but we are not just in front of the public. So I praise her for being able to be vulnerable, but I see that she still has not learned that at a point she has to take responsibility. So she said that all the decisions she has made as her 30 years or her 31 years is still because of what her parents have done. Then she started advising parents, which is good, right? But never did I see her take responsibility. And it's important that we do it, because when we come to that recognition of that fact that my childhood trauma, all of this caused this, what are you going to do? When are you going to stop pushing the blame on others? They've done it, but what can you do? There's this is a generation where everybody passes the blame on something. They will say, oh, I'm traumatized, my parents caused it, my siblings, my this caused it, poverty that I went through caused it, and I agree, right? But we also have to get to the point where it's one life and you have to live it the best way. It's not a dress rehearsal.
So I really love that, because and that's the reason why we are having this conversation in itself. There's no doubt that childhood days and everything might add to who we are or who we were at some point, but it's all about you taking responsibility and even changing some things that needs to be changed. But is it possible for me now to be in a situation whereby I do not necessarily know? Because I'm just thinking, I do not know that I really have these things I'm going through, issues from that. Or if you really have low self-esteem, is it possible for you to be oblivious of the fact that you do? Is this something that is possible? Or most times or you do not just necessarily accept it?
Of course, it's possible that you have weaknesses that you don't know what the root of that weakness is. And they said diagnosis is half treatment. So if you're able to diagnose that this was where it came from, but in terms of self-esteem specifically, it is possible to be oblivious. I believe a time comes when you will know. At a particular age, as a result of experiences you've had in life and patterns you've been seeing, you will begin to come into the realization that you're struggling with a low self-esteem. Maybe during a period at an age, you might not know. You will know you have something is going on, but you can't pinpoint it. But with age, you definitely, with time, you get to know that you have this issue. You will get to know for sure, because you will see so many things that will be happening to you.
So
for sure.
I think it's important to just sit down and think about those things, just like you said, when you start noticing that, because at some point too, when you do not feel comfortable around people that you should feel comfortable with, most likely I feel it might even be an effect of low self-esteem. Because sometimes I've even seen people that they have a lot to offer, but they can't just say it because they feel that they might be wrong. And someone else that even has nothing to offer talks and everything. So once you start noticing that, and one thing I did for me is I've actually noticed how difficult it used to be. And sometimes I still find myself in that situation. Talking about some things, because I feel like, okay, maybe this person might know more about it than I do. But it now dawned on me later on that even if you do not know a lot about it, you know something, and at least impute what you know, and there's no crime in letting people know that you do not necessarily know this. And let me give an example of one thing that happened. And really, I think confidence matters, even when you're not necessarily saying the right thing. When I was, during my undergraduate days, project defense, as we used to do in Nigeria, and it was time for me to make my presentation. So I made the presentation. And the funny thing about me is I'm not a very outgoing guy. But when it comes to presentation, it just comes out well. I don't necessarily know how that happens. So, and then it was only my boss that knew about what I was doing. So The other ones were asking questions and I was answering. And there were some that I answered and I knew they were not the right answer. But because they did not even know about it.
They had no idea.
They had no idea. So, and they couldn't even ask questions because they could see the confidence that I was using to say all these things. So what I'm saying in essence is sometimes even when you're in a position that you should talk, it is self-esteem makes you feel like you do not have anything to say in some of those positions, especially low self-esteem.
Low self-esteem.
But you bringing yourself out with that confidence and at least saying something makes a lot of difference. I think sometimes it's not even about what you have to say in the first instance. Like when you're just starting, I feel, from my own opinion, I feel it's the first thing to do is even putting yourself out there. When you say the wrong thing and people call you to order, then you go and search for those right things that you should say. There. You do more research. But when you're not even speaking, you don't see a need to develop yourself. So I feel it starts from not even having a whole lot to say, but at least having that confidence to also impute the little you know at every point in time. So that's just what I think when it comes to this self-confidence thing.
And I have a point of view. I don't know, it might be controversial, maybe not, but I feel like everyone suffers from low self-esteem at one. It's just the degree that, like, even people that you feel that are confident would have struggled with a little bit. We all have it easier than each other in terms of maybe childhood things that have happened. Some people had people that praised them always when they were growing up, so they were used to praise. It built their self-esteem, built their self-confidence. But you might see a person, I'm talking from myself as an example. Some people think I'm very super confident when we, maybe for instance, bold to talk, bold to give my opinion, give my views. But what many people don't know is that if I want to come out to talk, maybe like in church, for instance, or come out to do something publicly, I always struggle. That internal struggle. Sometimes I'm sweaty. My hand is sweaty. Sometimes I've had to say, God, help me. What do I do? How do I do this? How do I say this? Or how do I minister? Because I sing as well. Or like maybe I'm giving presentation, I'm prepared, but I'm trembling. I have inertia always just before starting. Always. You understand? People don't see that. They feel I'm confident. Also, I'm very critical of myself. Most people that are maybe creative or have to do creative work or original work, like even what we are doing now is a podcast, we are talking original work, or maybe people that have to do something that is your work. It's not a teamwork in either way or form. You always suffer from this thing called imposter syndrome and all of that. So like you will be some people are perfectionists, some people are very critical of themselves. I fall into that category. So I always think my work is not good enough. But people don't see that. They don't see that internal dialogue. They don't see me spending overnight. Instead of me to send it right away, which some people have confidence to send their work right away. And they will be seen as more productive because they get things, they turn out. Yeah, but you hold on to it thinking it's not good enough and you struggle with it and you too critical of yourself. But people are seeing you as, she's brilliant, she's good, but you don't see yourself as good or as brilliant. Nobody sees that. So that's why I feel like everybody, even the person you think is confident, you don't see that person's trembling a little bit before. It's just the confidence. Once they start and it kickstarts, it just takes over. Just as you said, you are not outgoing, but when you present, it feels like somebody else just takes over, and then you're just talking. Yeah. So I think everybody struggles with self-esteem as long as you are mortal, as long as you are human. Everybody. Forget seeing Obama and him talking.
I've heard some people say that they also go through stage fright and everything.
Everybody's variable.
I don't know about everybody because
you think there are some people that by default,
maybe not by default, but they've grown into that.
They've grown into it, yeah. Then you can grow into it for sure.
For some levels now, especially even talking in church now, I don't have any.
It's no more an issue. But can you remember when you started?
But even growing up, it was worse. And I think this is one thing that the reason why we are putting this out is like you have to start something.
You have to start
be intentional, because my own background, I didn't grow up from a place of praise and everything. Yeah. Not necessarily that they don't love us. It's not even not necessary. I'm so sure that they loved us.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just a nature that you wake up and they will say, like,
I love you. Come
yeah,
on, I love you. You're so
something
handsome.
like that.
You know, you're the most handsome boy in the whole world.
Exactly.
You know the way they raise kids here in Western world. You have to hug your daughter will come and hug you and say, "Mommy, don't you love me?"
Remember
Like,
times like that.
Hug and say, "I love you."
Or even if you do
Is
something
everything okay?
special, maybe house chores and everything, they will be like, today is special.
Today is
Do you know
special.
that you do
Or
all
something
this?
like,
So-
why can't you do this or that thing? Anyway, you
but
shall
you
try.
tried.
You know,
Things like
can't you
that.
just say
So-
you tried? Good job.
Exactly. So I would say that might also have an effect.
Effect.
But now, I've always seen myself in positions where I had to put myself out there. Not necessarily even that because I wanted those positions. There was one even in my junior secondary school, maybe high school here, that the teacher just appointed me as the, what's it called? Class rep.
Rep.
So I had no choice than to. And why did he appoint me? Because I was quiet. Like,
Yeah.
this person will be
So
good
if you
for.
be good.
It won't
Won't be
disturb the class.
troublemaker.
Exactly. It's not a troublemaker. So it wasn't even, it was just my, the way I look, my demeanor at that
Yeah.
moment. So, and then I now moved to the senior class, and it was a public school. We had more people then. So I was selected too, funny enough, by a teacher. And then they said at least someone also showed interest to become the class rep. And they asked the two of us to give a speech on Monawala. I was literally shaking. Like, it wasn't even shaking.
You were trembling. They
Outside
physically,
people.
they
Like,
could
people
see
could
you.
see what was going on at that moment. So I could remember this day. I remember the guy that even asked this question. I won't mention it.
In case you're out there, thank you.
I said, so he was like, wait, the way you're shaking, are you sure you can lead this class? I was like, it was just a bit cold, and that was what I used, but I knew what was going on because I was so much afraid. So all these things actually, so now there are some places I talk and I talk easily. People think, oh, this guy gets
This,
it
by
so
default.
easy, by default.
By
But it was
birth.
just a process of
Was the process.
putting yourself out there and doing those things. And that's the reason for saying that if you don't get to do some things, if you don't get to put yourself out there to get some things done, you might not see a change. And some people, I've heard people say that I'm okay irrespective. I don't necessarily need to put myself out there. But I've seen that in this life, I might be wrong, but in this life, the majority of people that I'm trying to be careful of the way I say it, but that old skill positions are actually people, not necessarily an extrovert, but they have this confidence and they can
To
talk
put themselves
when
out
they
there.
need to say things, like the way they carry themselves. Nobody wants to see someone that is so afraid and
So down.
so down
Poor
come
me.
out there to
Oh,
always
me.
talk. I think it's also contagious. Like when you carry this aura around yourself, people want to associate more with you.
For sure.
So that's it. So I feel that's one of the reasons. And just like you said, it's our responsibility. If I don't do it, no
one's gonna
one
do it
is
for
going
me.
to do it for me.
If you don't blow your trumpet, who will blow it for you?
I think
It's a legitimate question
that's
to ask
definitely
ourselves.
another topic because
Yeah.
on its own, because even self-esteem is even different from blowing trumpets in a way.
Yeah, well, I just mean, like, what I'm just trying to say is, if you don't, okay, that brings me to this question now. So it's self-esteem. Can it be a low self-esteem issue? Can it be solved by faking it till you make it? Because now, let's just imagine someone has low self-esteem. Now, right now, you realize that you are struggling with it. You just feel that you are not as good as anybody else around you, or you are just somewhere you just never feel confident. You're always struggling. You know, people struggle with this. As I said, various degrees, but we almost all of us, but
There
just
are
at
cases I
various
also
degrees.
struggle with it. That's what I'm saying.
Various
Like,
degrees.
There are some places I can talk easily now, but there are some platforms that I might
Platforms.
still feel like
Based on
hey,
experience and
Yeah.
exposure. Like if you've done so, I say experience stretches you. If you've done something, you likely not struggle at that level. But it doesn't mean that when you get to another place,
level,
you will. So that's why I said in various degrees, we all do that. Like right now, you might be confident now, but then take you to like a platform with people from all nationalities and you have to give a speech, it takes a different degree of confidence.
You start thinking of your accent.
Self-esteem. Exactly. At that point, you might start thinking of your accent. Or if you have like, just for example, when I used to teach, I taught for like some months back home in Nigeria, high school student chemistry. So chemistry was something I loved, so it was just easy for me to relay my passion. There was no accent barrier. But when I came here and I had to teach university students, first I was not teaching high school anymore. I was teaching university students, which probably I might also tremble a bit if I had to teach university students back home in Nigeria, but maybe just for a little while before I gain my composure and now get used to it. But now here, I knew that there was the accent barrier and I was just coming. I was fresh. It was very hard for the first 2 semesters because I was even just trying to acclimatize with the accent here. It's the same English, but the accent was different. So I knew that, I could feel that, oh, maybe they didn't hear me now, So, and I'm someone that if I don't feel confident, I might cover with a joke. I already started that, if you don't hear me, feel free to ask again, and just smiled. I was shaking, but I just had to use that to ease the tension so that you might not hear me. It's a disclaimer, but then I started getting used to it and my confidence grew. But it was still always a struggle. For like first 4 semesters, I would rehearse what I want. I would like take extra time. Unlike then when I just bounced into high school and I teach with all my heart, it almost made me start to hate teaching. And I love teaching so much. It almost made me start to hate teaching because that accent was stressing me out. I would be aware when I'm talking throughout the whole 1 hour session or 2 hour session. I'm aware that I'm talking. I'm conscious. Unlike when I was in Nigeria, when I would teach from my heart, and my heart will light up when I see that, okay, this person understands it. That just gives me so much joy. So it really detracted from the pleasure I got from teaching. And because it's just a different platform. And that's why I'm saying that that fake it till you fake it till you make it. Like, I don't know how to phrase this, but if a person is suffering from low self-esteem, what can the person do really? Yeah, I think why I'm thinking fake it till you make it might not be the right word, but it just means putting yourself out there. It will be hard. It will stretch you. But after it stretches you, it will build you.
But I feel...
you have to put yourself out there first.
But can we necessarily call that fake it till you make it? Because...
Fake it in that when you are putting yourself out there, you are faking the confidence. You are struggling. You are not so confident. But maybe after 1 hour, you do it again, it gets better.
But are you necessarily faking the confidence? It's all about you just doing what you want to do.
If you are not confident and you are faking confidence, are you not faking it?
But I'm not saying you're not necessarily faking confidence that way.
So
if you're saying now,
if you are trembling and you are trying to be confident,
if you're saying it to someone that, oh, I'm confident and I'm all that, then I can say you are faking it. But if I stand in front of people to talk, I don't think that's necessarily fake.
So you want to say you are mustering up courage?
Exactly. Me building something in myself to stand in front of people to say, that's just how I...
Maybe it's just perspective, because I used to tell myself I will fake being confident. I will maybe muster up courage to be confident, even if I'm not confident. Or maybe I'll say I'll force myself to be confident till I naturally now get confident. So for me, it feels like...
For me, if you need to talk, I believe you need to talk with a level of confidence. And because that's when even people will listen to you. If you're saying something and then you're not even saying it as if you're sure of yourself, people will think about it like, what's this person even saying? Can we trust him? So if I'm saying something and I know I need to say it with confidence and I go out there to say it with all confidence, I don't think it's necessarily faking it.
He says that it means that you muster up courage to be confident.
Exactly.
But
I just feel if you now go out there to start saying it to people like, I'm very confident.
But your demeanor is saying it that you are confident, even though you are not confident.
If
sometimes in life you don't say, you show.
But if your demeanor is able to carry you to that point, then you're confident
at
that point. No, but you are confident at
that. Okay. But I think we should also lean away from the issue of confidence, because self-esteem is a broad topic, and confidence is just a slice of the pie.
Yeah.
Like when we talk about self-esteem now, we talk about, some people don't even, no matter how much they dress, they don't feel they are okay, they are pretty. Some have self-esteem issues with beauty. Some have self-esteem issues with being knowledgeable. They just feel they don't know enough. They just don't
yeah.
know as much as the person, you know. And it's still, we're looking at self-esteem is the in between, is the crux, is the one in between. Then it has different things that branch out of it. Beauty, maybe you feel you're not pretty enough. Some people have struggled with that, especially if they have like siblings that are so pretty and they feel like, you know, some just have self-esteem because they feel like they have a skin tone that maybe it's not popular in the beauty, you know, the way, as we say, culture also helps promote some of these self-esteem issues. You know, if your culture promotes it that, oh, if you're onto your fair skin, you are beautiful. Some dark-skinned people might struggle with that. Or if a child is in a place where there is a lot of racism and the child feels that it's a different color, then the child might struggle with being feeling accepted and self-esteem.
Like me, you know, they'll be like,
why are you so dark-skinned?
No, skinny. Like I'm not.
Oh, skinny. Some will say, "Why are you so skinny?"
Are you?
And then you struggle with that, and you just feel you are ugly because you are thin. And yet, some people feel they are ugly because they are fat. Like for instance, when I start to gain weight, I begin to feel ugly. You know, I was always feeling that. Whoa, when I had my kid, the second child, I felt so ugly when I just had the baby. All those months, even now, you know. But later, I got to understand. I have to love my body. At the point at which it is, if I'm a size 14, I used to be very, very slim before when I got married, and now I know what size I am right now, so maybe like 2 more sizes, you know. But I have to love that body and understand that even if I hate it, it will even make me add more weight, because when you get depressed, you binge, you eat, you add more weight. So what I can do right now is to love it and dress
maybe I
it.
should just go down.
Or maybe you should become depressed so that you add weight. If you see a woman that's getting fat, it might just be depression that is making her get fat. Some people, there is research that shows that people gain weight when they are depressed, and it might not be that they are eating more. It might just be that it affects their body metabolism, so they burn fat less. Yeah, like if you start, like especially when you see a woman that just swells up really massively, she might be going through something that could happen. So like you have to love your body and dress. And I decided, you know what, I won't get clothes that are smaller than me. There was the time I went to get, it was the most stupid thing I had ever done. I went to get a clothes that is like 2 sizes smaller than me, and I said I'll start working now so that I will fit that clothes. you have to get clothes your size and dress that body so that you feel beautiful in it, and then work on yourself while you are feeling beautiful in yourself, because life is not balanced.
And one thing I also feel is it's okay for you not to even to have those deficiencies. It's okay for me not to be extremely brilliant. Yeah, it's okay for me not to even
extremely beautiful.
It's okay for me
by what standards,
just the way I am. But you now being comfortable, just like you mentioned earlier with the guy, being comfortable in that skin makes you beautiful.
Difference. Confidence actually gives you beauty, and it gives you charm and charisma.
The way you carry yourself, yourself. As a person, you can even joke about, because I've seen people that are very dull, and they even joke about it like, don't expect too much from me.
Notice that people are drawn to people that are able to make fun of themselves. They are. That's the greatest height of being. Some people use it to cover up something the way they are feeling, but it still works.
It works a lot.
Like if someone is able to just, as you said, don't expect too much from. He's already making fun of himself, so there's nothing you can say.
Exactly. And now most times people like that exceed expectations.
They exceed expectations, and then they exceed.
And even if they don't exceed, you are not expecting anything special because they already joke about it.
But people feel more comfortable with more confident people.
It is not even about you forcing yourself to go and know those things. It's not about you forcing yourself to look beautiful
or look different from the world standard.
Exactly. It's all about beauty, at least carrying yourself with that level
of what you have. Make use of what you have.
Be proud of what you have.
Maximize what you have. Yeah. I think, like beauty now, for instance, I've learned you can maximize what you have. Like instead of complaining, like I've heard somebody that was saying she hates her face shape. You know, and there are people that say, "Oh, my face is too round. My face is too," you know. When I was young, they used to make jest of me that my face was too round, and. You know this character Humpty Dumpty that had a round face. Those primary school students are evil. No, private secondary school, they are evil.
Even university days.
Yeah, but university, they didn't even make jest of me. It was that primary school.
They made jest of me in secondary school. I can't even remember primary at all. I remember secondary school.
They
I
made me
remember
hate my round
university
face
days.
so much. Like with the way your face is slim and over,
But you
I'll
know,
be wishing
you know,
I had the slim.
But you know, some people said some things about this. I had big head.
It was until I got to a particular that somebody said, "I love your round face. It just makes it will make you feel so chubby and you won't age quickly." I was like, so round face is good.
There are benefits too.
In fact, I thought I was too tall at a point because I and look at me now, am I too tall? Then I used to feel I was too tall, so I'll be bending my back like this because I used to feel being short was better. Till when I got to 300 level, and then someone was like, I love tall women. I was like, so tall women are good. I did not know. I had no idea.
So it's just the world.
It's just the world standard.
Yeah.
And what you have, like some people have angular face, or they feel that okay, but they wear the best haircut that flatters that face. They make the best of what they have. And they now look so beautiful and nobody even notices anything because they are confident and they make the best of what they have, so I've just learned that life is just about making who is perfect in beauty, really, who is perfect in stature, who, even the celebrities, they use tons of makeup, like you guys comparing yourself with somebody you see online that makeup artists they would have done makeup on, even a speaker, someone that comes on TV, or an actress. Do you know they do heavy makeup for these people? They will do it in such a way that it will look light.
I feel even for some people that don't, the world is not balanced, just like you said.
Just compare yourself.
There are some people that are more. There are some people that are more handsome, even without them using anything.
Right.
So there is no need for me to struggle to be like them.
And they also have their weaknesses.
Yeah,
somebody might be very handsome, but might not be bright.
Exactly.
Might be very dull.
And even he might have everything. The only thing is, what can I do to mine? Nothing.
To improve myself.
No, I'm even saying, like, what can I do if someone is
Something
more
that you can't
handsome,
change.
someone has more sense than
or
me,
is taller.
Is taller. What can I do?
Can you cut yourself?
Is there something I can do? Yes, if there is, then do it. But if there is nothing, I can't increase my height.
Can you increase your height?
And all that. If there is nothing I can do about it, then the only thing I feel for me is be confident in that body, in that space.
That body.
And then people will respect. People tend to
treat
that.
you the way you put
Exactly,
yourself.
exactly.
And I think that's the most important thing in the whole thing we have said. In fact, that's the summary, that's the takeaway. How you carry yourself is how you be treated. It is, especially here in this developing, like the way you carry yourself.
Even anywhere in the world.
Anywhere, developing countries, developed countries, whatever, anywhere you are, the way you carry yourself.
I've seen people in the top here too, and they don't necessarily know so much, but the way they carry themselves, you know. And
the PhD graduates will be stammering. I think meanwhile,
exactly. There are leadership traits everywhere, and there is a way you want to see leaders. So most times, I even admire Obama himself. Like, it's not even about maybe what he has done in the US or what he didn't do, but it's all about how he carries himself, how he speaks, and all that.
Courage is so important.
And
I think courage is very important for self-esteem.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm saying.
If you're struggling with it, you just have to start
it. That's all I'm saying. Like, even once you notice that, just start it.
And don't put the responsibility on others. You have to decide to take charge of your life. Okay, after it's been said and done, after they've done all this to me, what can I do? How can I start? Because at the end of the day, it's one life. If you complain till you are 90 and your friend that doesn't even have as much as God has invested in you is the one. Many of these politicians, some of them don't know anything.
Many of them don't even
back they don't, like some of them. I know someone that is doing politics right now back home, and when he was in school, it was one carryover or the other carryover, but they are the ones that always have the boldness and the confidence to push themselves forward.
It doesn't have like having not very good at school.
They might not be book smart, but they might be street smart.
Yeah, they might even
My point is that some people are not half as bright. They don't have half as much as God has invested in you.
Or it's because of the way they carry themselves.
It's just courage.
That's it.
They talk as if they know everything. And there's no point where we ever know everything. I've come to that realization. Even a professor is just a professor in one thing.
Some people even talk as if they don't know anything. Oh. I've seen people talk as if they don't know anything, but they are still there. Like they are confident in themselves. That people still believe in what they know. Like, I was
that
having
thing
an argument,
happens and it's bullshit.
I was having an argument with a friend. I was like, you know that this particular person doesn't know. He said, no, leave him. He is wise. He knows what he's doing.
Confidence.
Because he's just
confidence. I
in
think
himself.
confidence is underrated.
Yeah, true.
It is it's an underrated. Like when they talk about leadership skills, confidence is top. Like if you're in an interview, nobody wants to hire a person that is not confident. And you say you don't like fake it till you make it, but you have to muster up the confidence. That's why I say to myself, right? If I don't feel confident, I will start and fake the confidence. 2 minutes into that conversation, I'm confident. Initially, I might not be, but you won't even notice that short time. Because why? You have to make it. People call it the hustler spirit. I don't believe in hustling because of my mindset. It's just a mindset, because I believe in partnering with grace. I don't like the word also at all, but I understand when people talk about it, because I see people that put themselves out there continuously until they break barriers, and they push the confidence until they become confident, and they make something out of life. And you see somebody else who has twice as much potential. It's just like Elijah that keeps pursuing till he got it. You know, they have twice as much potential, but no confidence. So the world wants to hear your voice. I think we should end on this note. And you really have to be confident. Put yourself out there. You have all you need.
And of course, there will be, if we can call it like a part 2 of this, which you just mentioned, like putting yourself out there, because I still feel...
Yeah, and we will talk about that in the next episode. So watch out for that for sure.
So, but the main thing is be confident. Don't worry about even what you don't know, because you always see that happen. But at least you know something. There is something you can also offer.
Something you have to offer.
Carry it well. Be proud of what you even have to offer. And from there, I think we need to round up. But this just came to mind. I saw one post online. Like she said that she left a 9-to-5 job, and then she started something, and then she was just proud of the way she pitched a new business to people. And she was like, on a normal day I would not have been able to put this into a normal conversation because I would be afraid. But now it comes easy that people are now even seeing what she has to offer. But if she has not been able to do that,
she silenced herself with low self-esteem.
She wouldn't have even been able to. So what we're saying is, you still have something to offer, even if you think it's not so important. Just put yourself out there
and be aware that everybody struggles with this, but they decide to just
do something.
Must have courage and keep on pushing.
So thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
I hope this resonates with you. Work on it. And do not forget, as usual, to subscribe. At least this is the end of it. Subscribe, like, and share. And just drop your comments too. Let's hear your thoughts about self-esteem generally. What do you think? Maybe someone might even read your comments. What do you think about self-esteem? What do you think about what can be done to improve on self-esteem? So thank you for listening, and have a great day.
Bye bye.